The range of instruments that we have here in GarageBand iOS is pretty good, but there's one really cool instrument that's missing, and that is the banjo. So in this video, I'm going to attempt to create a banjo-like sound using the Alchemy Synth here in GarageBand. Let's go. Hi, my name is Pete. This is Studio Live today, where I help you create, record and release your best music. And if, like me, you've always wanted to have a banjo sound to use here in GarageBand, well, today we're going to give it a go. Now, this tip came from one of my viewers, Ponk80, who gave us the vinyl record sound and a bunch of other tips. I call him the GarageBand hacker because he's got so many cool ideas about how to create things in GarageBand. So let's now jump in. We're going to jump into Alchemy Synth and see if we can create this banjo-like sound. Okay, you know where we are, you know what we're doing. That's right, we're right here in GarageBand on my iPhone. Now, before we get started, you will need Alchemy Synth to make this sound, which means you need an iPhone 6, an iPad Air 2, or an iPad Mini 4, or a more recent device to create this. If you're rocking something older than that, unfortunately you won't have Alchemy Synth, but there's a heap more videos on a bunch of different sounds you can make, which are here on the channel. But assuming you do have Alchemy Synth, the other thing you'll need to do is come into Sound Library by going and tapping there, and then you'll need the Gozadera Latina pack here, which is where this instrument is. So make sure you tap on that if you haven't already, and it should say downloaded as it does here for me. So we'll hit done, and then we'll go back here, and now we'll jump into our Alchemy Synth. So we're going to tap on Alchemy Synth, and it's going to default in here to my Epic Cloud Formation. So by tapping in the top left and tapping on Epic Cloud Formation, we can change our patch or our instrument here. If you're on an iPad, it'll be right there in the middle of the screen instead, but you do the same thing. We then want to go Arpeggiated. We want to tap on the bright Plucked string here. Now, yes, Arpeggiated does mean it does something like this when we tap a key, which is very cool. Did anyone get a Macarena vibe from that? Anyway, we're not here to talk about Macarena. We will another day, but not today. So what we want to do is we now want to adjust some of the settings to make this more banjo-like. So we're going to tap in the top right. Just next to the settings is this little dial here, which goes into our Alchemy settings. And I show these in more detail. I've got a couple of videos about the Alchemy Synth, which will be linked up the top and down below, which you can check out if you're not familiar with Alchemy. But well, let's just move on and get this set up. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is drop the delay and the reverb down to 0. I'm going to add some delay and reverb at the end, but I'm going to use the master delay and reverb. And that's a little trick that Ponk80 showed, because the delay and reverb here in Alchemy are very artificial and they're good for a synth, but they're not good for something that you want to sound more realistic, which is what we want in this one. So that is done. We're now going to tap to the right here, and we're going to go to our next set of settings. Now, if you're on the iPad or a different size screen, these will be in slightly different places. Don't get hung up on that. Just look at the names of them and set them to something similar to what we're showing here, and you'll get a similar sound. So first of all, at the moment, with the cutoff where it is at the moment, it's sounding like that. We want to maximize the cutoff so we get this sort of sound. So we're getting that more of that plucking sort of banjo sound coming in already. We want to then set our resonance down to 0 so that we've got no resonance there, and the polarity already is at max, so we can leave that there. The click here, what I want to do is actually reduce the click, because I'll show you what the click does at the moment. We can turn that up. It's sounding a little bit artificial, so if we drop the click all the way down, we're getting a little bit less attack, which you may want a little bit more. So let's just dial the click to maybe around about a quarter. Yeah, let's go with that for now. So that's about right. Now, there's a couple of other things that we want to do here. So at the moment, with these XY sliders here, if we drop the XY slider for this one, which is the ARP pattern, and I'm not going to pretend I'm a synth guy and know exactly what that's all about, but this, trust me, this makes it sound better. So we're getting there. You'll notice that if I hold down, it's not going to sound good, because it is designed to be a sound that's a synth sound that's going to keep going. But if we just tap, we're getting closer to a bit of a banjo kind of sound here. So the rest of these we're going to leave alone with the attack and the delay and the sustain and the release, so they can all stay as they are. But what we do want to do is add some visual EQ. So this is, again, a really cool move that Ponk80 showed me when he was giving the demonstration, is that if we come in here and turn on visual EQ, what we can actually do is give it some boost in the mids and the trebles. So The moment it sounds like that, let's boost it up at 1 kilohertz here. So you can hear that you're hearing more of that mid-range kind of sound. And again, let's do the same thing up here with the treble. And again, you can play around with these and you can spend a lot of time customizing the sound. I'm just going to get it around about close here, and then we're going to have a bit of fun with our new banjo-like sound. So we'll tap on done there. The final thing that I'm going to do here is come back and add in some master effects. So I'm going to add a little bit of reverb, sorry, a little bit of echo and a fair chunk of reverb. Let's just try these and play with it now. That might be a little bit too much. Dial it back a little bit. Again, we don't want to hold it down, we want to tap it just so that we get that plucking banjo-like sound. So there we go, we've now taken that synth sound of that plucked string and we've banjoified it. So yes, it's not a perfect banjo sound by any stretch, but once we bring it into a track and we use this with our other sounds, then we can actually create something cool. So let's have a little bit of fun with this before we finish off. Let's go back to our track view here. And you might have noticed that I've prepared myself a little bit of a backing track here. So I'm going to play you out now with my brand new banjo created here in GarageBand. And this is a fitting song to play and record using my brand new banjo. Let's go. And there you go. Perhaps not a perfect recreation of a banjo, but a very cool sound that you can use and incorporate in your GarageBand tracks here. If you've got any comments, questions or suggestions, you can leave those down below, and I'll see you on the next video. Hey, thanks for sticking around. We've got 2 more videos linked down below, including Ponk 80's classic vinyl record sound, which you've got to check out. You can also subscribe to the channel by clicking in the top right corner, or head over to Studio Live today for more audio goodness.